innocent and I'm not a criminal. I never have, nor will I accept any kind of accusations, and I never will I excuse or thank the Americans for releasing me. If I have committed any crime, which tribunal or court has proven me a criminal? Secondly, I was a Talib, I am a Talib, and I always will be a Talib, but I have never been part of Al-Qaeda. He said that, he didn't sign it, he didn't take part in any of the tribunals as well, till the very end. Finally, they came back and told him to write anything that would allow them to release him. And finally, he sat down himself and he wrote the following. He said, "I'm not a criminal, I'm an innocent person. Pakistan and the United States of America have betrayed me. I was detained for 4 years without specific accusations. I'm writing this out of obligation, and I'm stating that I'm not going to participate in any kind of anti-American activities or military actions. Wassalam." That is the statement which released him from Guantanamo Bay. He was released in 2005 when he returned to Afghanistan. He's currently living in Kabul. He's still subject to the UN sanctions list, which officially doesn't allow him to travel internationally, make any money, have bank accounts or a cell phone actually per what the regulation states. He's a frequent commentator on the media, and then is currently working with us on the second book about the Taliban actually. That sort of wraps up Afghanistan for you in a very small view from the 70s all the way to today, and then we want to talk about a little bit about Kandahar and the situation we see. We have been living in Kandahar city full time for 2 years now. We live outside the security wire with Afghan friends of ours, and we just want to kind of paint the picture we see on a daily basis, and actually our friends have to live with as well.
I'm not sure whether it comes through in media accounts that are published here in the States or in Europe, but the situation in Kandahar is extremely bad. The levels of violence are the highest that certainly we've seen them since we've been going down there in 2004. Every single major target in the city has been hit once or twice now. Assassinations of elders, the religious clergy, also government employees happen at least every week, sometimes more than once a week. Kidnappings happen on a daily basis now, mainly for money, but sometimes politically. In general, there's an atmosphere of fear. People don't know when they wake up in the morning whether they'll be alive by the end of the day. There's a common saying which started about a year ago now, that when you say goodbye to someone, you say "see you soon" if we're still alive. You say it in Pashto, but that gives you an indication of where people are in terms of their daily lives. And the basic fact of Kandahar is that people are leaving now. People are moving their assets outside the country. Anyone who can is either moving to Kabul or is moving outside the country in any way possible. On the government side, there's a very strong and high level of corruption. A recent UN report about 6 weeks ago stated that 60% of Afghans living in southern Afghanistan experience corruption on a daily basis in their interactions with the government. The figure is probably much higher than that. This, of course, has led to the growth of a Taliban alternative justice system, which particularly in the districts is quite effective, and people like it. Certainly in comparison to anything that the government offers, it's quite transparent, it's fast, it's something that people can understand. The police force are universally hated. The opinion of the National Army is slightly better, but the police are really everywhere, and that's a very big problem in people's daily lives. We all saw what happened last August during the election, which really left the international community and big organizations like the UN with barely a thin sliver of legitimacy left. Also the Afghan government falls into that, and people know what happened. People, particularly in the districts, they saw that there wasn't an election. And then at the end of the election day, they saw all of the key international figures and saying that this was a triumph for democracy and so on. And this is a very common theme of the dislocation of the message between what politicians say, probably for domestic audiences, and what Afghans experience on the ground. In general, largely because of the government, the political process in Kandahar is at a complete standstill. And that's something we'll come back to later on. Young people, in general, are extremely depressed, and young people are a growing population and an important one in terms of Afghanistan's future. Down in Kandahar, there's really no hopeful future for them. There are two main dreams that you have as a young person. You'll either study and try and get a skill set so that you can go and get on a study program abroad, or you will start up a construction company which will allow you to make enough money to allow you to leave and go abroad. That's about it. If you're a young people, there are very few useful jobs, very few education opportunities, and it's one of the big reasons why there's such a strong take-up with the Taliban.
I want to talk a little bit in that slide about construction companies in southern Afghanistan. We're pouring in a lot of money into southern Afghanistan, a lot of projects being carried out, and like roads, bridges, and so forth are being built, and there are a lot of contractors down there who do that for us, local Afghans who implement these projects. There are various levels of problems with this. The first level is there's something which we have happening every year on a relatively constant basis, which is called the Contractor wars, where different contractors put explosive devices into each other building sites and kill each other's team in order to drive up the price for like protection, or to just kill them with each other off. We know of people who hire contract killers. It's very cheap to kill someone. Depending on who it is $1,000 to $5,000, and we're talking here about project volumes of 500,000, 1 million, $5 million. So really investment of $5,000 in order to kill your competitor is something which is an easy calculation for a lot of people who work in that field of work in Kandahar. On top of this, the way it works in terms of aid efficiency, and we have a lot of our friends who are contractors, is there is a subcontracting scheme going on. The first person gets the project, takes off 50%, 60% of the money, subcontracts it out to the second company, who takes 30% of the money, subcontracts it out to the third company, who is left with little money, still takes money, tries to build the project, often comes short of being able to do it. There are a lot of projects we have paid for at least 3 times, which haven't still been built. And that's some people might believe that's anecdotal, but if that's anecdotal, then all our friends are quite a big group of anecdotal friends. They make a lot of money in a very short time period. The second part is that this money, because of the situation, how we do spend it and how we engage with the contractors, fuels actually the insurgency very directly. There are 2 different taxing schemes in a way. There's one coming out of Quetta, where if you want to build a big project in southern Afghanistan, which mostly is Taliban controlled, you have to hand in the blueprints of the building or the project, and then there's going to be a Taliban engineer who's going to evaluate what the cost of the project will be, and they will tax you 10%. Like, we have personally seen $200,000 in cash being handed over to a Taliban tax collector of that type. Secondly,